Hello and welcome to day 12, I think it is. Yeah, day 12 of the No New November challenge. Today we are going to be making some fabric pockets with some scraps of fabric and old bedding. So I've got this old bedding which I used on my cover. I've also got some scraps of the silk which I used on the cover as well left. I've got a couple of bits of lace. In order to do today, I am going to be using some Fabri-Tac as my choice of glue. Unfortunately, my sewing machine is down, so if you don't have a sewing machine, this is quite good because you can follow what I'm doing. Alternatively, if you do have a sewing machine, you can sew all of this as well. My sewing machine has been booked in for a service. It's a little bit more complicated than I initially thought, and it will take quite a while to do, unfortunately, but I don't need it. I can do it elsewhere. I can do another way. So we've got our pages. I've decided to use these two pages because when I pop my pockets on, let's just use this as a basic. When I have my pocket straight on, I've got something tucked inside. Most of this is going to be covered up anyway, so that doesn't bother me. So I've got two pages where I've not coloured them in, and I'm just going to use those. And I'm going to use my laces to decorate the cloth. So I'm going to start off with my pillowcase. Now this was a pillowcase, obviously, no longer. When I was cutting the cover, I cut into pieces what I had available. So I'm going to now chop. I want to be about half the page, I think, roughly. There we go. So I want it to be about half the page, so I'm going to cut it here because I want to tear it. So tearing from here, snip. Get some sharper scissors, shall we? Okay, and pop the rest to a side. Just gonna take out some of this loose thread I've got going on. Right, so when I pop this down here, there we go, I'm going to snip just in from the page here, and then I'm going to snip just in from the page here. Oops, destroying my little display. Well done, Emma. Pop you in there, and then I'll just have those bits off, pop those in my scraps. I've got a separate little pot of scraps for fabrics from my paper scraps. I keep them separate. You can make some really cute little kind of, I guess, what do you call them, snippets out of a mix. Actually, mixing them is quite nice as well. Okay, just get rid of all of these scraggly bits. The bin. So I've got this literally like that. I'm going to now chop this in half. Now you don't have to do this, you can do this in across the whole thing if you'd like. I could do that actually. I will leave it as one, but I am going to decorate it a little bit. So I'm going to take a bit of my silk, and I'm going to, hopefully, if I can rip it, I don't know if I can, we'll see, pop a little bit along the top here. So just probably about that wide, because I want to fray it, and that makes a really nice ripple sound. I want to fray it, and also add lace on top. So there we go, that's that. So I'm just going to fray the edges. I'm just going to take off a bit off the edge here, pop that in the bin. Right, let's fray some of these bits. I want it to be, I want this tail to be about as wide as the salvage tail, so I'm going to be taking quite a few pieces off of this, so that's what I'm just going to quickly do. Keep going. If it gets crumpled like that, don't worry, you just start again from where it's stuck. I'm feeling quite happy today because we've taken our cat to have a checkup, the one which is suffering from hypothyroidism, and he's put on some weight finally, which is nice, because he's been quite underweight for a little while now, and I think we're going to get the go-ahead to go and get the treatment done, which will be good, and hopefully we can get it done before Christmas, which would be nice as well. So feeling quite happy about that at the moment. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Just finding the edges. I don't need to do the whole length because this is too long, but just enough that when I put it down it's gonna be about right. There we go. It's about right. So I'm just going to rip this, trim this here, and rip the edge off. That's it. Pop that to the side. Ruffle up the edges a little bit. This has been cut, so I'm just going to try and rip what's left of it. It may not work. I'm just going to fray up the edges even with my snips. Which will give it the idea anyway. Okay. So I'm just going to pop that straight on there like that. Can you? Yeah, you can see. And then I'm going to get some. Ooh, this one's got some ribbon space. Might get myself some ribbon. Bear with me a second. Right. So, what have I got in here? It's a bit wide, unfortunately. Otherwise, that would look quite nice. Ooh, I could just put a bit of, yeah, I'm going to do that. To the side. So let's put that there, and I'm going to cut it off here. Now with this, I've decided that I'm going to I want a bow here and here about halfway through where the page this will sit on the page, made with this. So I'm going to in out all the way along first, but I'm going to give myself lots of space. So in, out, in, shake it all about, do the hokey cokey and we turn around, yay. This is the crafting hokey cokey. This might take a little while, sorry guys. Oh, I probably won't like it when I've done it. That's what usually happens. The things which take me the longest, I end up coming out of them going, oh, wish I'd done something a bit simpler. Well, we will see. It might work. Don't have to put something in and out of this ribbon, this lace. It just so happens that it kind of looks like it is designed for it. Probably was. Particularly with vintage ribbons, you tend to find a lot of them have this, because used to put different colour ribbons on them, particularly for baby cots and things like that. They'd put pink or blue depending on the baby. I had yellow on mine, I think. Not 100% sure, but it's a nice neutral colour, yellow, so it's suitable for both sexes. Almost there. There we go. Right. Scooch this over. Yeah, so this will glue down like this. And we want the bows to be, let's see where we are, halfway down. So 28. Let's get some pins. 28. So half of 28 is 14. So we want to come to 14. This is going to be where the half of the page is. So pin that like that. I'm going to pin it at either end as well. So when I'm faffing with the bow, I'm not going to be knocking this out of the way. You could glue it down, but I'm hesitant to glue it down until I've got the bows in place. Right. So halfway between here and here. Halfway between 14 and 7, so we want it to be on this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this through. I want to make sure I've got enough here. So I'm going to pull all through. That'll be enough. So I'm just going to trim this in here. So this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck it in and out. Oop. You see, so I'm going to tuck it in here and out this one. So it's under there. And then I'm going to do the same, tuck it in this one and come out the other side, and then tie a bow over the top. Oop. Sorry, there we go. And then tie a bow. This is where I don't fall in love with it and wish I hadn't done it. Let's try and do this type of bow. Once I'm happy with the bow, I'm going to put a globule of glue to fix the bow in the shape that I like. Because I don't want it to come undone. I want a little bow. There we go. So I'm going to get a glob or Fabri-Tac. I'll just clean it off the top again. And then I'm going to pop in the back here. Might have to top up my glue at some point soon because it's running out. Nice big glob of glue there to stop that from undoing. And then when I place it down, I want to make sure it's like centered in where I want it, because that's going to glue it in place to this as well. And I'm just going to snip this and snip this. There we go. One bow. The next one will go there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly glue down this side because this is all got a bit of glue on it ready. So let's just put a bit of Fabri-Tac down here, just behind the lace, centering it. I'm centering it at the moment in the middle of the silk, not following the fabric underneath. I'll glue that separately. You might find it'll tack a little bit, but it won't grab through the silk. Depends on what material you're using for this though. Right, so on this other side I want to pull through a lot of, so 7 is going to be here, so it'll be this one, so I want to make sure I've got plenty first on either side to do. It's probably more than I needed really. Let's pull some of that back. Now this one, because it sits on top anyway, I'm just going to do the bow on top. The only reason I did that one was because of the way it was forming. So let's do a knot first, and then actually, watch me fumble with the bow. kind of just trying to get it around the same size as the other one. I don't mind if it's perfect, because at the end of the day you do want to make sure though that your lace is staying straight and not ruffling up. Snip the end off here. This big glob of glue which is coming up is going to do that bow. Make sure it's centered. Right, undo these, and now I'm going to glue behind the lace all the way along, making sure I pull the lace flat. There we go. So I've got 2 bows on these pockets. I'm going to trim off the edges right off here, and I'm going to make sure that those bits are glued down at the end. Because we don't want those pulling up. There we go. Right, now with the fabric, which way up do we want it? Okay, right. Get your glue. And of course, if you're sewing any of these lines where I've glued, you can instead use a sewing line, either zigzag or straight. Zigzag is usually better from the perspective of actual it's less likely to come undone. Let's just pop that down, making sure it's about the same distance up and down. There we go. Now I want to make sure that's nice and done. Include. And there we go. Set that to side. I'm going to quickly just fill up my Fabri-Tac bottle from my bigger bottle, just because it's starting to run out, and I don't want it to run out when I'm gluing it to the page. This is what I do because the Fabri-Tac's so expensive. I will buy a big bottle and I decant it into the little bottles. A little bit at a time, rather than buying lots of little ones, because the little ones are easier to control. Sorry, I just have to focus when I do this, because this is very gloopy. It could theoretically go everywhere. There we go. It's about halfway full. Right. Where's my page? Get my page. Now I want to glue down here, around here and up here. We want to leave the top obviously open for the pocket. So I'm going to work out actually how far up this pocket's going to come. So it's going to come to about here. Let's start the gluing from there. So I'm going to do one line down like that first, and then I'll pop my piece in where it belongs, center it first, then press down. Then come along here, going just inside, and then up here. Flattening that down nicely so it's edge, and then you might just need to come along and do the top corner here. Now obviously this is going to be, it's not as strong if you glue as if you sew. Ideally it would be best to sew, but make do with the times we got, eh? There you go, that one. So that side's done, and let's do the other. So I'm gonna come out. So because this has not gone right to the edge, I'm gluing just inside the page, which hopefully will mean that when it's not going to be as weak, because the edges aren't going to, there's not as much pressure on it. I want to come up, so I just want to really make sure that this is centered well. There we go. We've got two functioning pockets. So I'm just gonna get some of my journal cards. Let's have a look at this one. Touch in there. There we go, like that, and this one, yeah. There we go. Obviously when you've got this in, you'll only be seeing half anyway, because you'll have a page there potentially. I'm not likely to have this as my centre page, but yeah, I really am ashamed that my sewing machine is not working. You can tell I'm a bit gutted about it. So I'm really happy with that page. I'm going to just set it aside. I'm going to take these out because it's still a little bit wet. What I may do is I may just colour, like do a colour load, a very faint watercolour shift over the top of that maybe. I'm not sure. I might just leave it as is. But that's one page. How long has this video been going on for? Right, so my next one I'm going to do is I'm going to do like a corner page. I could do a corner one like with the silk like we did before. Do I want to do that? Just have a bit of corner edge. Yeah, I'll do that. So I'm gonna get my fabric scissors. So today I am doing passion fruit martini. Today is the one I'm burning. It smells amazing, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna eyeball this. Cutting diagonal is not fun, but okay. Yeah, I've really not done that very straight. So let's straighten this up. That's a bit better. And I'm going to get a different lace this time. I've got this one. Just a little narrow lace. Don't want too much on this, so I'm just going to glue straight down. Middle, pop this little piece of lace. This is actually a cut off of a bigger piece of lace that I didn't want to use at the time, so I've saved it because it just does a nice little trim. Okay. Trim this off. This one's not as complicated as the first one we did, so I'm going to want this to come down here. I deliberately did it too long, and now I'm going to trim it down after I've glued this down. So the first, I'm going to work out where I want it to go up to. So I'm coming up here, and I'm coming up to about there, and I'm coming down here to about here. Move my Fabri-Tac over, get this off my fingers. Careful of my thing. I want to marry where the glue ends to this piece of lace, and then push and flatten it down. Okay. I'm just now going to trim up to the edge of the page. You could try and tear it. I wouldn't recommend tearing it now because it wouldn't necessarily tear straight. You could also tuck it around. Okay, but I think it'll look best if you just straight up tear it. You can get a little bit of fray on the edge, which is quite nice. Careful, because I don't want to cut my paper with my scissors. My scissors, which are for yes. There you go. Got one. Now this one I would probably put something more elaborate on in here, like this. And I think I quite like that, so I'm going to leave it like that. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Tomorrow we're going to be making the what are we doing? Oh yes, dashboard tomorrow out of the plastic box. Now I have got one downstairs, but what I'm thinking of using is something more sturdy than we have been using in the past. Something if I can find out where I put it. I had some somewhere. Where have you gone? Where's my little box gone? Nope, I put it somewhere. Can't find it. Something a bit more sturdy than what we used before for the shaker cards. We want something almost more Perspex-y in sturdiness, so that when you're putting it in here, it's not going to flop about and everything, because you're going to use it almost like a separate card. And then you want a reasonable size piece. If you don't have Perspex sheet, or sorry, a box which has got that large space, you can use just a plain piece of card and decorate it up just like we've done with the journal pieces. But for me, I like the clear. I think it just looks nice. A lot of people, oh, here we go. So this is probably ideally a little bit thicker than this, but this would work. And this becomes essentially what I would call a dashboard. Sorry, it is a dashboard, but what I call my junk journal, junk drawer. So that kind of thing that it's going to have space. So I'm going to put a pocket on the back, probably, somehow, maybe, don't know. I'm going to put a pocket on it. I want to have some form of sticky note or something like that, so that I can use it as a brain dump area. So anytime I want to, I don't know, some suggestion to put in there. So okay, I've taken a load of pictures, so I'm going to write the date, what kind of pictures, and I say what kind of thing I wanted to write in it, just quickly on a thing, so I can come back to it later and do it properly. So I want an area where I can write, but I can also tear it off and then pop something else on. So that's what I like about sticky notes, is you can put some on there and then you can remove it afterwards and replace it as required. And yeah, so basically like that. You can also put in here, if you on here, like inspirational word, if you have a word of the month or something like that as well, you can include that on this. So I hope you've had a good day today, and I will speak to you soon. Take care. Bye now.